Hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Marketing from the Trenches podcast. In this episode, we're going deep on video. So what I mean by that is I've got my friend Tim Nagle on the podcast, and Tim is a video producer, creator who has come from doing TV ads and producing videos for TV and movies and things like that to using videos for commercials and ads and helping businesses grow using the power of video. So the reason why I've got Tim on here is because he's done some pretty cool stuff for some pretty great clients, like doing the launch video for Tesla's Model 3. So we go into detail around how he thinks about video, what the process was for him to even do the Tesla video as well, and also some tips and tricks and processes to help you use video and leverage video for your business if that's what you're thinking about doing. Now, before we jump into this episode, a couple of things. First of all, I've got to apologize for the audio of this podcast. I clicked the wrong button and selected the wrong microphone. So even though I had the microphone up in front of me, or the good microphone up in front of me, I was using the MacBook microphone, which isn't the best, but I think it's pretty clear. The room was pretty quiet, so hopefully it's not too bad and you still can get the core messages from that. Now, the second thing is there is a site or a page that we've created on the website with a bunch of resources to help you grow your business, get more leads and sales. And that page is growthlabs.com. It's labs spelled with a Z. So growthlabs.com/resources. So if you're looking for more tools and tips and tricks to grow your business, to get more B2B leads, head over there right now. We're constantly updating and changing that page, but it's a bunch of free resources to really help you grow your business. So without further ado, let's dive into it and find out how Tesla 3 videos, launch videos rather, Tesla 3 got created and what Tim's process is for creating videos that get great results for his clients. So I'll see you on the other side. Hey there, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, another episode of the Marketing from the Trenches podcast. I'm your host, as always, Will Wang, and today I've got my friend Tim Nagle on the podcast. So, Tim, I'll jump in and ask you a little bit about your background, but the reason why I think it's awesome to have Tim on is Tim is an absolute expert when it comes to creating videos for advertising, for marketing. Tim actually did a campaign, or I wouldn't call it a campaign, a video rather, that got featured for Tesla's launch of the Model 3. So that's a really cool story. But Tim, tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you got into video. Just do an intro.
Thanks, Will, mate. It's a pleasure to be here. A big fan of the podcast and Marketing from the Trenches. Here we are. To answer your question, bit of a background. I guess I've been a cinematographer for the last 10 years. Been making films, feature films, short films, creating advertising and content for different brands all around the world, and been lucky enough to work with some of the most talented people around, and I'm really fortunate to work with these cool brands that just are ready to make cool, kick-ass content. So now I've kind of, I guess, in the last year, been pursuing that with a small team and creating content for more new brands. But yeah, I mean, going back, Tesla. What a brand. They we kind of worked for them and engaged on this cool help to launch the Model 3. It was awesome. It was such a fun time. We made a cool little film. It was about 60 seconds long, and luckily we got seen by about 300,000 people, which was incredible. All over Facebook, YouTube, and got featured on different magazines and publications. It was absolutely incredible. What do you want to hear about it?
Yeah, let's break it down. That's really cool, right? Because I'm a massive fan of Tesla. I mean, we were talking cars just before we jumped on the air, and I was picking up between AMGs and Teslas because some of the new AMGs coming through have got a really nice sound, but Teslas are dead quiet. But they're a fan of both cars. So let's break down the campaign. Like, how did it happen? Like, what did they approach you, or like how did this transpire?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, Tesla's such a great brand. Like, Elon Musk is doing amazing things worldwide. So they had this kind of open campaign where they left it open for people to jump in and put something forward in terms of like a piece of content, like a little short film, to describe the new Model 3 in the most creative and kick-ass way. So we took that on board, and we put something forward which was like a bit of a mix of an emotional story, but mix that in with the cool aesthetics of the car. And so we went with this like space, like neon textured environment where we showcase this cool car in a really creative way. And then we cut in between that, this like cool emotional story with this little family, little kid kind of talking about the future, talking about space and everything like that. And yeah, we went from there and it got really well received. It was actually unbelievable. People just organically shared it, liked it, commented on it, and just super engaged with it. And yeah, being a part of that campaign to help, I guess, in the pre-sales, sell a ton of cars was amazing. And yeah, couldn't have asked for a better result.
Yeah, awesome. So those views. So I think from memory, you got up to about 300,000 views, right? And that was that paid, or was that just being shared, being organically passed around?
Yeah, so that was all organic. There was no paid media behind that at all, which blows my mind because in the world of online advertising, if you don't put paid spend behind something, you'd be lucky if you get any sort of traction on it. So getting that organic rank in viewings was absolutely amazing. And it goes to show that if you have really good content and you can get a lot of views, get those authentic organic views. But if you put some paid media, paid spend behind it, you can really skyrocket your advertising and get a really good return.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it's crazy now too, because most of the platforms that that we're very familiar with, so Facebook, Google, Instagram, YouTube, it's very much a pay to play platform where the organic reach is super hard to get. It's not like back in glory days when you could put a post up and 1,000 people see it. It's actually a really hard thing to do. So 300,000 organic views, from my point of view, is actually really great. Like these are highly engaged people who weren't paid to watch the video essentially. So that's awesome. So let's take it to the next step, right? So they put it at an open call for content. You guys saw it, or I think you guys got referred to it by someone. What's the next one? How does your brain work in terms of thinking about video? Like, how do you come up with a concept like that goes and does such an awesome job?
Yeah, that's a good question, man. Well, I guess there's a few things that I definitely always think about when you're making creative content. One of those being originality. How original is the idea? Like, what do people go, oh, that's new. I haven't seen that before. The emotional engagement, people seeing something and going, I can connect with that on some sort of human level, which everyone wants to do. And then third, the execution point. So like how well do you make it? The executional craft of the film. All those three things, if you put them all together and you really kick ass at all three things, you create something that's not only good content, but can go a long way for a brand and really elevate a brand or elevate the product that you're servicing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it's interesting that you bring up brand because I want to dive a bit deeper into this, right? Because obviously Tesla, that's a sexy brand. Like that's a brand that has a good name to it. They've got a loyal fan base. But you've done work with brands that aren't as obvious or aren't as sexy as Tesla, right?
Yeah, definitely. Working in stuff like the medical industry, we have worked with a lot of cool brands like Gucci and Adidas and like cool kind of companies like that. But I mean, it doesn't matter. Like if the company doesn't have like some kind of cool edgy name, like a cool streetwear brand or something like that, you can still do really good stuff to help tell a story for a brand. And I'm really passionate about doing really good creative content for brands, no matter who they are, because I really firmly believe that when you make good creative content for a brand, it elevates who they are and takes them to another level, which they may not have even been able to be perceived at before that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's look through that, right? Because for example, if you had a brand, let's just say something in the medical industry, like what's your process? Is it the same approach, or do you have a different approach when it comes to one of these not as sexy industries or brands?
Man, to be honest, I take the same approach every time. Like you want to extract the goodness out of everything. There's a story in everything. Every brand has a story. Every company has a story, and it's just the way you tell that. Everyone's got some origin place, where they started, where they are now, and where they're going. And if you want to tell that in a really passionate way, you can do that in so many different ways. There's so many opportunities to do that. the filming landscape is really cool now. Like we've got all these cool platforms like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram to play out those stories, whether they might be in long form, like 2 or 3 minutes long, or 15 seconds. You've got the opportunity to jump in there to engage someone in the first like 10 seconds and hook them in. So that's kind of like in terms of what approach I use, or we use like, it's that same thing. How original is the content? Emotionally engaging with the viewer and having high executional craft to make it look really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the next question I had, and it kind of goes off what you were talking about in terms of the length of video, right? I know this is one of those questions where it's like, so it's how long is a piece of string? But in terms of creating videos for marketing, for advertising, for pushing a brand's awareness and also engagement into the market, what do you think is the ideal length? Like, do you think it's agnostic, or like, what's your take on that?
What is the ideal length? I think you have to do multiple lengths. There's no one ideal length. Like, I mean, for years and years and years, we've had this standard length, which is 30 seconds for a TV commercial. In the last 10 years or so, we've come into this world where the 30-second TV commercial doesn't work exactly anymore. Like your average Facebook user will scroll through like 94 meters of Facebook feed a day, video feed. So that's like as big as the Eiffel Tower from what I've heard. So if you want to capture that 30 seconds out of all that traffic, you've got to have a really good hook in the first 3 seconds. In saying that, the ideal length is there's multiple. You want to hit them with that 15-second engagement, maybe get them to come back again for a 30-second or a long form, like 2 or 3 minutes to, whatever you're doing, selling a product or selling a brand, or showcasing what you do to help someone else.
Yeah, it's actually really interesting in terms of how consumption habits have changed. I mean, if you think about it, there's other podcasts out there. Like this podcast itself goes for about half an hour, and people actually sit there and watch a full half an hour podcast off Facebook because it boosts, do the advertising on Facebook. And then you've got something like the Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss podcast, and they talk 2 to 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I guess it all comes back to like what purpose the content has. Let's talk more technically, because I know you're an absolute expert at this, and some of the businesses out there would need someone like you to do what they need to do, because they've just got the brand they've got to protect. They've got to make sure that the videos are on brand, has the right messaging, but also achieves the end result. And there's the smaller businesses which may not or might not be able to afford someone like you. So let's talk about both sides of it. Let's start with the bigger businesses who are looking to bring someone like you on board and help them with videos. What's your recommendations in terms of what to look for? Like, what would they look for in I guess you call it a video production company? If that's what you call yourself, or like, how do you describe it?
That's a great question, Will. I think there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The good thing about video is that everyone has access to high quality video at the moment. If you've got an iPhone, you can shoot in 4K. You can shoot in landscape mode. You can shoot vertically, and you can get high quality content up there for Facebook. If you want to do something a bit more serious, you can go a bit harder, and you can do a full-scale production. So you can get a whole team in that might have really nice lighting, really nice cinema cameras, craft a story, craft something in script form, and really get all those extra elements you need to tell a really high-quality brand story. But the opportunity is there for everyone. The actual real opportunity, I think, for any business, whether they're small or large, is at the moment, all platforms are really starved for inventory in terms of ads on the platform. So what they're doing is they're favoring the content that is the most creative and the most engaging. So if you've got like top end, really high end creative content, Facebook's going to go, yeah, that's great. Let's put that out to more people. And you're not going to spend as much money. You're going to get a higher return on your investment if you're putting it out there. But also you're going to get people more engaged with your content. But if you put something out bland and boring, first of all, no one wants to watch it. You're wasting your time, and you're potentially wasting future customers as well. So being creative is the number one thing, no matter what you're doing, whether it's on an iPhone or you're doing something with a full team, a full crew in a production house. That's the opportunity that there is for a small business or a large business. Being creative.
To be creative. So let's dive deeper into that, because I think it's one of those things where I've always thought, like, for example, I'm really bad at doing design stuff. I can't design to save my life. So if someone's looking to use video in their business, they don't think they're creative, Like, what are the most essential steps that they need? Like, what's the bare minimum effective dose for someone to do in terms of video to get results?
So what's the bare minimum they need to do to get
Yeah.
results?
Yeah.
Oh man, I guess to get results, you want to be sharp, concise, and really showcase what it is that you do. But when you say that, you want to be able to say that if it's a video in an interesting way. So like, if you're just on the camera and you're just walking around and going, yeah, this is me in my office and here I am, this is what I do, this is my sales pitch, let's go. There's like 100 other dudes doing that. But if you kind of like turn it on its head and maybe you jump out of an airplane, you're like, this is what I do, it's amazing. I've only got 10 seconds to pull this ripcord before I get to before I die a crazy death, then people are going to be watching because they want to know if you're going to pull out ripcord or not. They want to see if you survive.
That's a really good point. So I think the thing I'm trying to dive into, and you kind of touched on it, is you're so creative when you think about videos and scripting and the process of telling the story in the right way. Is there a formula that you follow, or is there a template that you follow, or does this just come kind of naturally to you?
There's a basic formula. One, it involves, first off, the research. If I'm going into a brand or like going to see somebody the first time, I'll just ask a million questions. I want to know everything about their brand. I want to know what their origin story is, where they're going, who's their audience, what they want to do, what are they selling, what do they got on offer, what's the biggest thing, what's the biggest picture they can present. Then after that, like if they've got a specific product or a service they want to dive into, we'll come up with some sort of way to showcase that in a creative and interesting way. Then it will go into the pre-production phase where we'll plan out that day. So it might be a day shoot or a couple of days shoot. All the team that we need for that, plan that out. We'll shoot it. That's after the scripting's done. We'll go into post-production. We'll create all the assets and then hand it back to them and say, this is what you've got. This is your kick-ass content and you can showcase it to the world. That's kind of like the basic format. But I mean, it gets a little bit more technical. A lot of Google spreadsheets involved, a lot of time management, a lot of phone calls, but in basic form, that's kind of how it goes.
Yeah, awesome. That's really cool. So I think what we're going to have to do is pull out something like Gold and stick it into the show notes, because I think those steps that you went through, that's something that even regardless if they use you or not, that's actually a really good formula to follow in terms of getting videos up and running. So let's jump out of the nitty gritty tactical stuff at the moment, and let's talk about how you think video is going to do in the future. You're very bullish, or you're very positive on it, but why? Like, what makes you think that video is around to stay?
Yeah.
And what type of video do you think will perform well into 2020 and beyond?
2020 beyond. Yeah, Will. So there's this crazy stat going around Facebook and Cisco, and I think it was a part of Nielsen as well. And it was like 2020 is going to be let me get this stat right. Web traffic in 2020 is going to be 75% video. So video might not just be like, like a really cool, like a film or something like that. It's like people talking like us, traffic on the web. It's people sending a FaceTime video. It's someone sending an update of where they are. It's people sharing like a cool comedy film or like a brand or some kind of cool ad or something like that. It's like going to be 75% of traffic. I'm quite certain that, video is going to be up there. We're going to be using video every day. Internet connections are getting insane. People can just, the connectivity around the world is going to be very much in the video format. So I think if you're not implementing high quality video in your business or just in everyday use for what you do, maybe jump on that bandwagon. That's why I think, video is going to be everything in 2020 and above.
Cool. So, so more specifically, let's just say that we're talking about business owners out there. They're trying to expand their business, bring on more leads, bring on more customers. What type of videos do you see working now, and what type of videos do you think will work going into the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, cool. So videos working now, definitely people getting up and personal with their business. So showcasing, who works for the business, what they do in detail. Things like testimonials and those kind of things, they do work. Sometimes they can be a bit be a bit gimmicky sometimes, but not always.
I've seen some pretty bad ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's the age old thing. Like, no one's going to put up a bad testimonial, right? So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, cool stories about showcasing what your brand has done for others is always going to be a winner. People will love seeing that stuff. Then yeah, like more brand stories where people are showing their origins, where they are now and where they're going. That stuff's always powerful because it showcases if a brand's serious about what they do, that means they're going to be serious about what they do for you. So those things are definitely good to take into consideration. And then what else is there? Just making cool content, stuff that's interesting that people want to see and can add value to them. So it might not necessarily be selling a service or a product, but they might be able to learn something from it. I think that stuff's invaluable because people just love consuming it, and they're going to also get some nice brand attachment to your brand or your business.
Yeah, it's that formula that Gary Vee always talks about. What is it? Jab, 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 right hook or something like that. Like 3 or 4 points of contact, or not contact, content and value before you even ask for anything back. And I think that's such a good way to do marketing, and video is a strong way to do that. I mean, in a very meta way, that's kind of what I'm doing with this podcast, because I'm putting content out there to try and help as many people as possible, in the expectation that a few of them might actually want your help or my help to do something with and to look at their business and see how we can help them in a very specific way. So I think that's a really good point in terms of how we can leverage video and why it's important to start leveraging that. So Tim, let's kind of start wrapping up this as well. The last question I've got for you is, what should I have asked you, or what question should I have asked you that I haven't, that you think is really important to ask? Or what information do you think is really important for everyone who's watching or listening to this podcast to know?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I guess I've briefly touched on creativity. I'm massive on that at the moment. One thing I do think is that, especially with video, people can look at a website, and if it doesn't have video on it, they really just scan it really quickly and they might leave. When you put up a video, you've got a real opportunity to showcase what you do. But also, when you use video or use storytelling to showcase who you are, people's perception of who you are changes. It's like when you see documentaries on TV about any subject, after it, you cannot deny that your perception has changed about that. I mean, there's a lot of famous ones out there, like, for all different subjects, from people like Michael Jackson to, I don't know, to the oil industry, and to, Bitcoin. After you watch those documentaries, your perception changes about something, whether it's true or it's not. You have that, I guess, you have an opportunity to change someone's perception about who you are by creating a really cool video, film, brand film, story, whatever that might be. Yeah, that's something I might throw in there.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So, Tim, thanks so much again for coming on and for sharing.
No problem,
people who want to find you and get your help in maybe even creating the scripts for their videos, or even helping them film the videos. Obviously, you're based in Australia from the accent. So,
yeah.
How do they contact you? How does someone get in touch with you if they need your help?
Yeah, mate, no worries. Anyone can just go and check out my website at apostledigital.com. Check me out. Send me an email. I'm happy to write back and just say hello. But yeah, that's it, Will. Cheers, mate.
Cool. Awesome. So everyone watching and listening to this episode, thank you again ever so much for tuning into another episode of Marketing from the Trenches. I hope you really enjoyed this one. I got a lot out of it. And the reason why I brought Tim on is because video for me is definitely a big thing for us to focus on going forward. We're testing a whole bunch of ads, and by and large, there are exceptions, but by and large, video ads are always outperforming still ads or graphical ads at the moment. So I thought it'd be awesome to have someone like Tim on, who's just an absolute expert, to give us his take on video. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all on the next episode.